Hello, beautiful people. So we're doing somewhat of a round two, a little bit of a follow-up from yesterday's chat. If you haven't seen it, I'll give you a little snapshot of what it was, but feel free to check it out if this one resonates. So yesterday's chat was about excess potential. So when I say that, I'm talking about where we put excess importance on things, situations, jobs, people, relationships, etc. And kind of going into why that's not a good idea. And I think today we'll chat a little bit about how it has such an adverse effect. And honestly, if you have situations in your life that you need to constantly hustle for, you have to put up a facade, or you have to just like completely deplete yourself. The question is like, why would you do that? It's not self-sustaining in that regard. So today's chat is maybe for those who have felt like, you're just running against, you're running like on a little hamster wheel, I think in society, we try to do the best we can, right? We see other people, we're trying to grow. Everyone's trying to fight for status, right? Get a better job, get better pay, more autonomy, whatever it is for you. The problem with that is, a lot of people, it's not natural, right? They're hustling hard to perform, to maintain a certain persona, a certain way of working, a certain output, right? A certain level of productivity. And I don't know about you, but I just can't do that anymore. I can't be that anymore. It takes too much. It takes too much to hustle so hard, only to then burn out every 2 years or so. Like, what's the point of that? If I have to hustle so hard, or if you have to hustle so hard to keep something, what's the point? Especially if you're going to have to burn out every couple of years, So in today's chat, we're going to ask some questions. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to think about your situation and just think, like, what kind of life do you want to live? Because there is a life that you can live in a resistance-less existence. That's kind of hard to say. Resistance-less existence. I'm not going to try to say that 5 times fast, but it exists, right? But it doesn't exist for you if you believe you have to work really hard, that you have to be the best, that you have to do this or that, and then maybe you'll get to your next goal, whether it's promotion, raise, or even too in relationships. You can, this pattern of wanting and feeling like you have to perform, add value, that can translate to relationships as well. And do you really want someone that you have to fight for? Or a job you have to fight for? I don't know. It doesn't sound compelling to me. Like, why would I want to fight hard for something and feel like I always have to fight for it? Like, that's just dumb. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. Sounds like a recipe for stress, high cortisol, just havoc in my body. That's what that sounds like. I don't know. I did like a decade of that. It never worked out for me. Hustling hard. I thought it did. I thought it did at the time. I thought if I just worked harder, if I just added more value. What a lie our mind tells us. Because that very importance we put on it, this excess potential we put on things, usually has adverse effects, right? Someone who tries too hard, and maybe you can even see this, like, maybe you can't see that you're doing this, but maybe you can see that other people do it. Don't you just get kind of creeped out when someone's trying way too fucking hard? Like, it's just too much. It's like, why are you working so hard? It's like if you got a really good deal on something, it's like, whoa, You can think in your head, if you're the hustler, if you're the one trying to add as much value as possible, what you see is not what they see. What you see is that you're trying to make it undeniable that you bring value, that you're the one who can grow in the next position, right? You can take on more, whatever, right? So you're putting in an exorbitant amount of effort that does not equate to your value. It's more than what your perceived value is, or what you're getting as a paycheck or anything, right? And the problem is the other person is going, why are you trying so hard? Or even they like it. They're like, oh, good. You do all the work here. Like, I'll slack off. So that situation sucks. And then it also sucks if they're like, why are you working so hard? It screams insecurity, And people take advantage of that. They take advantage of the carrot they can dangle in front of you. They might not even be doing it consciously, right? It's just like a subconscious thing. It's like, okay, you can give them more work. They'll get it done. They'll do it well. Or I can slack off a little bit more because they'll pick up the pace. It's just not a good scenario, right? Because your perceived value is lower, yet you're hustling harder to be like, hey, my value is actually up here. But they're not even seeing your current value. They're seeing below. So it's creating this polarization effect that you might not be aware of. But maybe now you can look at something and say, oh, that's why. When you try harder to do something, it's like it just keeps going further and further away. And what kind of life is that? Going back to what we were just saying, it's like, what kind of life is that if you have to hustle so hard just to get a little bit, and that little bit, they don't perceive you as your actual value. They, people, job, whatever. You see how it's not serving you to hustle, to push, to control? It doesn't even get you what you want, But maybe it did. Maybe it did a little bit, and that's why it's a pattern. Maybe it did for a while. Maybe you could hustle hard, push hard, and you got rewarded for it eventually, right? And then it creates this acknowledgement. It's like, okay, if I work really hard, keep pushing, I'm better than everyone, I will eventually get rewarded, right? And you will, right? But at what cost? At what cost? If you have to hustle that hard, it's not even a guarantee. It's interesting, this topic. I think life will be better in a more resistantless way. Due to circumstance, the last couple years, I had to incorporate a resistantless, I don't care attitude. If you've seen my other videos, I've done a few where I talk about I just have this I don't care attitude. I don't care. But ironically, and this ties into what we were just saying, ironically, this I don't care attitude is allowing me to move forward in ways that it never has. That all of my effort, all of my caring, all of my excess potential and importance I put upon jobs, people, etc. Now things are happening for me effortlessly. You won't believe me. You won't believe me until you experience it. You will not believe me until you can rewrite the narrative for yourself. And the only way you're going to do that is through action. The only way you can do that is through action. So there's this, I almost don't want to mention it just now, but there's 1950s movie called The Blob. I don't know, if you guys are ever bored, look up old sci-fi, like 1950s sci-fi movies. They're like pretty good. This one was a B movie, but Anyway, so the premise of this thing is like it's this thing, this entity that only grows in power when it consumes life forms. So make a B movie short. Essentially rolls through this town, rolls in through a window, under a door, starts consuming all the people, rolls out the house, goes into another house, right? And it becomes this huge ball, right? This huge thing that now is too big to even move, attack, anything, because it'll suck you up, right? That's what fear is. That's what fear does, right? And the only reason we would be staying in this like hustle, hamster wheel kind of life is if we have fear. Fear that we need more money to support ourselves, fear we need the validation, fear we're not good enough if we can't perform right. And it becomes this huge ball that becomes almost insurmountable. But here's the thing. Just taking action in a different way of being will slowly unravel that ball, because it's the opposite of that. It's deciding, I'm not going to be fear-based. I'm going to move with faith and love for myself. I want an existence that is resistantless, because that's where I can sustain it for a lifetime. That's where things will come to me, where it won't be this whole like, why am I putting in so much effort and getting nothing back? You'll put in little effort and get a lot back. It's a paradox. It's a paradox. You know, people tell you work hard, like that's one way, but for a lot of people it won't work. A lot of people will work very hard their entire life and it won't ever work. They'll never get that, you know? And it's so much excess potential, excess importance. And for what? Because we have fears. We need this, we need that. Can't lose that, can't lose this. That's how they keep us all stuck. So if there's anything you can do today to try to tap into where you're hustling too hard, where you're pushing when you're going against the grain, and you know if you stop, it all stops. Maybe you're in a relationship where it feels like you're pulling too much. You're doing too much. Let it go. You don't want that. No, seriously, you'll be fine. You will be fine. You don't need that. You'll never win. It'll never work. Or if you're in a job where you're valued, but they just keep laying the work on, just say no. I have enough. Or if these things are too big, right? What's something you can do that just takes action in another way? Instead of needing things to be perfect, instead of needing a whole master plan and outcome, what small action can you do that might just fill your soul today? One small thing. Just to show you that that's all it takes. Little actions in the direction of the life you want. And slowly, like that big ball, like that blob, you will build a life that is more aligned, has less resistance, and is more sustainable, more fulfilling, more easy. Just been watching some birds out here. Birds are so fascinating to me. How they work together. They always just seem so playful, you know? But I will leave this video at that. Thank you so much for watching and hope to see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.